Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Cancer Live with Marina. I am so excited to join another live with you all. Basically, I've been doing this live kind of Q&A podcast form for probably 2 years now. I started this channel after being diagnosed with breast cancer at the age of 31, and after some time passed, um, well, I shared that story with all my family, friends, everybody on social media. And when people saw me go through the journey and they saw, the things I did to get through, anytime someone in their life would be diagnosed with cancer, they'd reach out. And that started my plan to start a YouTube channel. And so here we are. I started this channel 5 years after being diagnosed the first time with breast cancer. And after getting a nicer camera and practice and kind of just doing some shopping hauls, I was diagnosed again. And I vlogged that journey. And that is what most of the videos are on my channel. So 12 things I wish I knew before starting chemo, um, radiation, surgery, all of that. It's here for you or someone in your life that might need it. And now I ask you to subscribe and turn on notifications because I go live twice a month and I want to connect with you all and see how you're doing on this journey of life, not just cancer, but just how you're doing in life and see if there's some inspiration we can draw on from each other. That's my story in a nutshell. And I'm going to go to my first comments on, which are two subscribers I love to see. Amy Lee says, "Hello, Marina." Hi, Amy. I love to hear from these regulars on here, but I love new people. I love any of you listening. You will get something watching this in playback, I promise, because what's really neat is we support each other, but it's just a good energy shared. And that has always been the goal of my channel. Amy says, "I've missed so many lives lately because I've had so many appointments at the same time as your lives. Love your vids. So helpful." I get that, Amy. I had a I had a lot of my appointments on Fridays for a long time. And now I'm happy to say that I can fill a lot of that time with going live here. Okay, so another comment, Quatrice. "Hello, I love seeing you." Quatrice has supported me. We've connected, and I just feel like you're one of my cheerleaders. So thank you so much. She says, "Happy Friday." Um, yeah. And let's see here. Gizbeth says, "This live is right." Quatri says, "This live is right on time." Okay, cool. I think that means maybe it's just like something you needed, I love that. Gizbeth, hello. "I just got bad news." Oh no. Here we go. "I was diagnosed stage 3 in 2022. Just go." I think there's like a to be continued there. But I want to um I'll bring Carly's comment on, and then I want to talk to you about some things I've been listening to lately, give you some updates with me. Carly says, "Hi from London. Did you get any swelling post chemo? My legs and feet are swollen." What a great question. Yes, I believe I had some, and it could be from all the fluids they give you. But that being said, sometimes having more fluids can help hydrating. So if it's not personally hydrating at home with electrolytes, which could help, let your medical team know and see if an IV bag is needed a couple days after chemo and if that helps. If neuropathy isn't too bad, I would recommend movement, a combination of movement through some walking, and when you're resting, elevating your feet. So kind of like alternating that movement, right? Hydration, movement, elevation of the feet. But of course, consult your medical team. You always want to make sure that there's nothing else going on that is concerning. Gizbeth shares this. "I just got diagnosed stage 4 yesterday with a lesion on my spine. So scared." In this moment, Gizbeth, I would just pray for you here if you don't mind. Um, Lord, guide our friend through this time, through this stage, for this moment where she feels afraid. Let her find peace in knowing you are with her and that she is in good hands with her medical team, that they will create a plan that will make sure that she is able to live a full life every day she's here. Amen. Um, And this is it, this is it, guys. This is what it's like to be a survivor. This is probably what a lot of you might struggle with. And so hearing that is maybe something that some of us cringe or shy away from. We're like, whoa, whoa, no, I want to hear all the positive. I want to hear all the good news that it's not going to come back. And for a lot of us that have been diagnosed with cancer, if you've gone through treatment, if you're living, a lifestyle that's well, and well doesn't just mean food. I think for a lot of us, it means stress. I think for a lot of us, it means good sleep. But if those things are, pretty well, most of us will not have cancer return. But some of us might. And that is just living. And that sucks. And I'm so sorry, Gisbeth, to hear your news. Truly, my heart is with you. I always feel like when you're first diagnosed, whether it's you or a loved one, it's the hardest time to be in because you've been told something scary. Nobody wants to hear they have cancer. And you don't know the treatment, the prognosis, and you don't know the outcome really, right? And we're all programmed, primally to stay alive. So, we start to think of all the things like how, what, where. And in the end, I would just say that find some peace in making a plan with how you live, your medical team, and create that peace daily with just small moments of just breathing and and that's it. There's no other big requirement sometimes, right? Um okay. I hope that makes sense, right? You guys, I'm trying to say sometimes we feel like it's all in the doing of like, why did I get this? Am I doing enough? And sometimes it's not that. Sometimes we just need to breathe and just be. We don't always have to be doing. Elena says, "Hi, Marina. Hello." Quatri says, "Praying for you, Gisbeth, sending all the positive vibes your way." Yeah, that is just the worst news for survivors. So, I want to talk about a couple things that have been on my mind this past week. My inspiration. I've been listening to some Tony Robbins stuff. He's always good, really good. I feel like you have to be ready to receive Tony Robbins. Tony Robbins is like one of the top life coaches in the world, right? He's like this big, like just guy. You can't miss him. His voice is unique, kind of raspy. But so I've been listening to him this week, and I was listening to him talk about something that I thought could be really valuable for a lot of survivors because I feel like a lot of us go through this. Now, before I start on that, I want to term define survivors. So from the moment you're diagnosed, you are technically a survivor because you are alive. So just so you know. So when you're waiting for that end, destination, that report that comes back clear after surgery, you're waiting to ring that bell. That's great. We all want that. We want to kick that bell. We want to read that report and celebrate that there's no evidence of disease, there's no pathological response. Um, but you don't have to wait. You could claim being a survivor at any point. So, for us survivors, I talk to a lot of people that talk about the fear and anxiety. It's a big part of it. And um, one way to address it is to think of it in stages. And so when you think about being diagnosed with cancer, it's going to shift your life. And I was one of those that thought it won't shift my life. And at some point realized it has to shift my life. If I don't learn from this, then what was the point? You know? Um, and that I just take that on my own reasoning mind, like I wanna spin this into something that I can take back power from. And so what can I do now that I'm a cancer survivor? How can I help others? How can I learn for myself what to appreciate more? Um, because sometimes there's no point to cancer and it just sucks, just so you know. So if I'm going to learn from this experience, what can I learn? So I went through Tony Robbins this week and I was inspired by his stages of grief. Let's go through it if you don't mind, because maybe some of you don't realize this, but being diagnosed with cancer is like dealing with grief. And you often don't deal with the grief of being diagnosed with cancer till you're done with treatment. And I'm going to use air quotes, done with treatment. Because done with treatment means like I'm done with chemo, I'm done with radiation, maybe there's no surgeries, but you're being monitored usually for a while. There's screenings, and then there's just your mind on a daily basis. So when you're done with treatment, you have to deal with the grief. And how do we deal with the grief? I think we deal with it in a lot of similar ways, all of us, whether you realize it or not. And there's stages to it. So it looks like this. Here are the steps to grief, according to Tony Robbins that I was listening to. The first step is shock. So you can all probably remember where you were when you were told you had cancer. I remember I was at work. I was about to clock in for my lunch break, and my phone rang, and it was my doctor. And she just told me, she said, Marina, I have your report back from your biopsy. You have an invasive breast cancer, and you need to see a specialist right away. I remember it so clearly. It was like a punch to the stomach. And so you probably remember where you were. And that first step to grief is shock. Even though I could have maybe guessed it'd be positive because I'd had an ache for months in my breast, one breast, and my mom was a two-time survivor at that point. So I went for my first mammogram and my first genetic testing. And then I got that call, but it's still nothing prepares you for that. Nothing prepares you for that. So that was the first step, probably in my grief, is shock. Was it shock? Quatrice says I was at work too. Isn't it crazy? That's why I try to remind people, you never know what anybody's going through. So, you know, when you think and somebody's just mean, maybe it's not worth your time and energy. You just don't know what they're going through. There's a comment on here, and I'm going to make sure to get to that in a moment, Tiffany. So I'll come back to you and I'll say hi to Regina, says hello, my queen and all my queens. Oh, I love that. I love that. So we're just talking about stages of grief. What's it like to be diagnosed? Shock. The second stage to grief is anger or sometimes anxiety or both. But anger is one that I feel like I've seen this in some people I've coached and talked to. It's like they're just so like even just driving by their cancer center, like just it makes them mad. They're like, that sucked. I didn't want to go through that. It really disrupted my life. It made me go through menopause early. There's a lot of anger that goes with it. And you think of grief, this is the same. This is grief. This is what it looks like, whether you've been diagnosed with cancer or lose somebody. You can be kind of angry and you can be kind of anxious about it. And that's just normal. The fact that they can label these steps, I'm telling you right now, is just very, very normal. So the next step in grief is sadness or loss, right? Like you're just sad about that. Like, man, like even the sense of loss, right? It feels like you've lost a sense of self of going through life carefree maybe at that point. And now it's changed, but here's where I'll step into these stages and just remind you as a Beyond Cancer coach, somebody that's had cancer twice. It is a loss, but there's also it's necessary because sometimes we need a shift in perspective. Like I just can't a lot of people would say this, I just can't keep going that way I was going. There's oftentimes some changes we could make. And I don't know what that is for you. That's so personal and unique to a lot of us. But for a lot of us, it's the stress, it's the way we eat, the way we drink, the way we um, don't put ourselves first. It's a lot of that, and a lot of that needs to be shed after this point, after being told you have cancer. It really can. So we can look at it as a loss, but we can look at it as in stepping into something that we're being forced to step into, a new way, a new way. The next step in grief is bargaining with God or yourself. It could be like, oh, if you could just like, if you just can make everything just go back, I promise I'll do this. I'll promise I'll be better. I promise I'll start forgiving people, whatever it is. It's a stage to grief, bargaining. And so if you find yourself kind of going, "Oh, wow, it's interesting. Hi Lucia, welcome." We're talking about the stages of grief. I heard Tony Robbins speak on it this past week, and I thought I'm going to share this because I think it's just so relevant to people being diagnosed with cancer. The stages to grief are shock, anger or anxiety, sadness or loss, and then starting to bargain. And then the next step to grief is acceptance. Accepting that that is just how it is, it was, what happened, just acceptance. Like, I can't change it. And then that's technically the end to the steps of grief. Um, but I'm gonna agree with Tony Robbins on this and add a step, and that's creating something new. And that's where I started to flip the sadness or loss stage on itself. And maybe I did bargain, I don't know, but it got me to acceptance faster to create something new. And I think if you start to allow this to happen at stages in the grief process, at the end of your grief process, after being told you have cancer, once you've gone through all of this, if you can start to create something new, that's it. That's taking back your power. That is what we all have to be reminded of, because cancer can make us feel so out of control with things that we have to go through, like certain medications and hormones. But at some point, when you just accept and move forward and deal with the symptoms and try different stuff, like we can manage it. Like, I've managed menopause. I mean, I hope you all are wherever you're at on your cancer journey. But creating something new has been the most empowering thing to help me as a survivor. For me, it looked like getting to the Boston Marathon after I was diagnosed the first time. I mean, I just qualified. I wasn't going to let that go. I just accepted that in my mind. And that's how powerful the mind is. That's how powerful your belief is, that you're going to do something no matter what. So I did that. And then, creating something new was probably marrying my husband and then having kids by the grace of God. Um, but after that, I was diagnosed again, and I had something new. I had my young children. So to me, I looked at that as like such a good thing that I could focus on a 2-year-old and a baby when I was going through chemo again. It was the best distraction. So tiring, but the best distraction. And I couldn't have done it without help. I had to get better at accepting help. And the first journey taught me that a lot. In the second journey, I was prepared. I was prepared to delegate, to be like, "Yeah, yeah, come bring me dinner, please." Like, why would that have ever been so hard for me, But, um, sometimes it is for us. Sometimes we're just so, like, we're the caregiver. We're the person that's always giving. It's hard for us to, like, accept the help, but if you can, and if that help dries up, guess what? Time to create something new. It might be time for you to start working on others and re-energize that. Because I've had people be like, "Oh, nobody offered to bring me food," or people weren't texting me back, and that does suck. That totally does. But that's just a reflection time for you to start to create that energy. It's time for you to start checking on your friends and family. It's time for you to ask, "How can I help you? Is there anything you want to talk about?" When we make our life just about us, we make our life just about us. And that can be very lonely. And I don't want you to be lonely on this journey. That's why I created these lives. That's why I like connecting with you all, so you can feel like you're not alone. That at times it does suck having to go through all these changes physically, but I promise you are so much more than this physical body. You're more than your hormones. You're more than your role, however you define yourself. For me, I define myself as my career for a long time, and then a mom. And now I define myself as just somebody that wants to love and give. And when I'm doing those things, nothing feels better than when I truly love on people and I get to give. Time for your comments. Okay, Tiffany, I want to come back to you. Thank you for showing up today for the live. Um, Let me get to you all. Tiffany says she's here at, she's mentioning her cancer center. Hold on just a moment. Let me bring that comment up so I can read it. In St. Louis, stage 2, grade 2, 14th treatment today. Oh gosh, right now. 2 more to go. Yes, you're so close. Then bilateral mastectomy and radiation to follow. Thank you, Brina. Love what you do. Thank you, Tiffany, for sharing. I'm rooting for you. You're so close. Just keep resting and hydrating. At the end, that's when you're close to the end of chemo, because I've done like 16 and then 15 infusions each time. And when you're at the end there, it's like, oh man, that brain fog is really starting to creep in, and you're going to be forced to like rest more, which is what I needed. I needed to be like forced to lay down. So make sure you're getting enough rest here at the end because you're so close. I'm so happy for you. Yes, Regina sharing good energy. She said, I hope you're having fantastic Friday rest and relaxation. Oh, I love that. R&R, babe. R&R. I love this vulnerability that you all share. Lucia says, I love the creating something new. It's so true. There's so many things you can do that has nothing to do with being a cancer survivor. It could just be with whatever your uniqueness is. Create something new from it. Regina, enough doing that. Time I was told at 61, I'm 63, now 1 year cancer free. I had no one to go with me. And when they told me, it was like, okay, got ready to leave out of the office and almost fainted. Oh, she's talking about where she was when she was diagnosed, but she's a year cancer free. I love hearing that. Oh, and you're saying when you got out of treatment, maybe that you almost fainted. That's really tough. It's really tough to go to treatment alone. You got to be safe and tell them if you're not feeling well, do not drive yourself from treatment. She says, at that time, I felt I was a strong woman, that I could take whatever was given to me, but I couldn't. Strong, I told myself, even as a child. I'm sorry, it's a little jumbled, Regina. I'm trying to read this, but I think here we'll bring home your point. She says, I was always being strong, control. That's another word, right? And you don't always have to be strong, by the way, guys. Like you do, because like you might have to get to work or you might need to like feed yourself or a family. But it shouldn't look like control. That's not, can't live there. When I was told I was angry because this crazy disease, I'm not used to anything controlling me like me. Yeah, that's what it is. It's like this balance of releasing what you can't control, right? And focusing on what you can. I can't control if I've been diagnosed with cancer right now in that moment, if that's where I was at, but I can control my next steps. And that's what a lot of my videos are on, a lot of my tip videos. Okay, how do we just focus on the next step, the next step, the next step? Lori B. Grateful says, hey, Marina, thank you again for the suggestion about Reverie. 2 weeks now, truly life-changing. I love to hear that. Reverie is made by Bonafide, and it is a vaginal suppository for women in menopause that experience dryness. It's a lifesaver. I don't know why that automatically wasn't suggested to me after having a hysterectomy, but I'm so glad I found it. Lori is too, but I'm just so happy to hear that that's been a lifesaver, because we deserve that. What to me was part of the taking back power, Lori. It was like, hey, this symptom of menopause isn't working for me. So what are my options? Like for a while I just lived with that too. And then it was like, wait a minute, I don't have to live with this. This is crazy. Give me 1 second here. I don't want my camera to die. 30 minutes is like our cutoff, guys. Okay. We'll see. If it dies, I'll switch cameras. It is what it is. Regina says, I knew at that time I had to fight even more at my age and I couldn't let this win. Absolutely. So much mindset. So much. You have to believe in yourself, like, you have to. We can look to our doctors for help, we can look to changes we can make, and in the end, you have to believe that, like, you have create that belief. That is part of getting rid of the anxiety, is, like, envisioning how you want to be as a survivor. I wanna be a little bit more slowed down, I wanna be a little bit more loving, and I wanna be cancer-free, and that's the goal. I don't care if you're stage 4, like, never give up on that belief, because I have stage 4 friends that are incredible. They travel, they start nonprofits, they give and give, and, they're stage 4 with no active cancer, and it can be a beautiful thing. It can be what you make it, and, I know it mentally isn't always easy for them, but what's the alternative? You know? Being miserable. It's you make it a choice. Amy Lee says, getting ready to leave for my 9 out of 5, 25 radiation, and then to the cancer center for an immunotherapy treatment, 21 months of active cancer treatment. It's been so long. I'm thankful to be alive. I am so thankful for you being here, Amy, and I pray you just keep going so that you can be done with this. Like, and I mean, it sounds like you have a very active team taking care of you. One day at a time, my friend. Elena says, scripture that I would repeat in my mind during treatment was Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. I love that. That's big too. I've been listening to an audio this week that is actually exactly that. Um, I do a lot of audiobooks on my library app. Kindle's great too. I've been listening to Get Out of Your Head, um, which is a study in Philippians, with Jenny Allen. Actually, was listening to that this week. Elena, how wild is that? How wild is that? But that's a really beautiful thing. I don't talk a ton about that here. I talk about God, and I would be happy to pray for you all, because it has definitely given me relief to know that in that middle, we talk about this a lot. The journaling is so good. The meditation is so good. Gratefulness. I mean, there's science to literally all of that. And in the end, when you've done all of that, it might be time to talk to your creator. If you haven't done it, it might be time to have some conversations with God, not ChatGPT, God. Okay. Like, I'm serious. I'm serious. You might need to close your eyes and breathe and be like, you know what? Maybe I just need to take rest in, like, somebody that brought me to this earth, that there's no, that one ask for help if you need it. Sounds crazy, but seriously, pray for whatever it is you exactly need. And two, find rest in the fact that you don't have to do more. Sometimes it's not in the doing. It's just a knowing that you're worth it. You're absolutely worth it. You are worth it all. You're worth the fight. You're worth the life. You're worthy of love. Whatever it is that you feel like you are in lack of, I'm just gonna tell you all that right now. Gisbeth, I'm in Arizona too. Do you know of any stage 4 support groups? I need all the help I can get. Yes, this is a great time to put some links for you all that have shown up live today. Let me go to my links for you. I'm going to tell you to look up Check for a Lump, Gisbeth. They are the Phoenix nonprofit for breast cancer. They're incredible. Look up Check for a Lump, and they are an option. They have survivor support groups, and go to their website and see what you could find there. I'm going to share with you all. I've started marathon training. That's my update. So I'm in my zone. It's crazy. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, when I think about running 26.2 miles, I'm like, I just don't know if I can do this again. I ran the New York City Marathon last year, November, but I did do it. And running it as a 2-time survivor, raising money for breast cancer last year was incredible. This year, I'm raising money again for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. So blood cancer research. They're incredible. I've already heard an amazing story this week by doing a meeting with them. And I want to share my link to my fundraising for that cancer group now. If you want to help me fundraise for cancer research, I would appreciate it so much. If you found value in this live, give it a like. If you want to do a super thanks or you want to donate to my fundraiser, I really appreciate it. This is my life now, and I'm so blessed to do it. I'm a YouTuber, I'm a cancer coach. I do group and one-on-one coaching, and it is available for you. And I'm just so thankful you're here. If you need a chemo guide, if you're in chemo, starting chemo, make sure you go to my links. I'll put that in there as well. Um, Hold on, let me pull it up for you. MarinaBlackford.info has the links to all my current stuff available, and that will have, if you're local to Phoenix and want to do a 5K with me in October, we're going to do the Pink Out 5K, which benefits check for a lump. You can walk it, you can run it, you can make a team, you can join my team, Marina's 5K Superstars. That is there. If you've started chemo and you need a chemo checklist, I have that available. Everything for you is on marinablackford.info. If you're like, I'm interested in running, I have a link to my favorite shoes there and fuel. And you can ask me anything there if you want to personally reach out. I have an Ask Me bar in there, and I'll make sure to answer your question and follow up with you. So these are all the ways to connect. I hope today filled you up. I hope you heard what you needed from me and Tony Robbins. Create something new. See if it excites you. See if it shifts that energy from that spiral down to the spiral up. Um, there's seasons to life. So a lot of us have big ideas, but you can make your big idea into and start chipping away at it, whatever it is. Whatever it is. I'd be so excited for you to take this journey on creating something new. For me, it's looked like getting involved with nonprofits, starting a YouTube. One thing leads to another. Sometimes I don't always know what my something new looks like. I just start taking steps, and then something reveals itself, and it's incredible. It's incredible. So I'm going to send you all the best energy today to know you're loved exactly how you are. And I hope you find some healing and grace this weekend. And I will chat with you soon. The next live will be in a couple weeks on the channel. Actually, I'm going to go, I think the end of the month we're doing another live. So August 29th, join me again. And I will be popping on live just here and there because that's what I do. So make sure you subscribe. Hope you all have a great day. Bye-bye.